are entirely responsible for all show content and do not in any way reflect the opinions of KYOK Radio, its sponsors, staff, or management.
When you walk out on that field today, ask yourself this question.
What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Let's go! We made it! We made it! We made it! We made it! I'm going to the house! I'm going to the house!
When I step on the field, I send one message. This is what it feels like. This is what it feels like. Football is getting hit. That's it.
It's gonna be football now! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Let's hunt now! Let's hunt now! Let's go! Let's hunt! We made it! I'm going to the house! I'm going to the house!
We're talking about the Jets like we're talking about the Saints. You know, all this, how like we the Miami Heat of football. Yeah. The bottom line is you got to buckle up the chin straps. It's embarrassing. Yeah. Don't disrespect the game like that. There's too much crying from him. He's a man. They can be a hit just like us. He's a man. You already make the big money. He's a man. Don't cry when you step on the field, man. That's who I did. When I step on the field, I send you one message. This is what it feels like. Oh, my bad. Your bad don't work in my way.
What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! We made it! I'm going to the house! I'm going to the house! It's a wrap. Game over.
Nah, this game's just getting started right here after the weekend. It is Media Monday right here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I'm AJ Jones trying to manage too many devices with cords on them. I didn't charge anything up over the weekend. Does anybody have a charging ritual? Like before you go to bed, you put the tablet on one thing, the phone on something else, the laptop on something else. I was so dog tired yesterday. I didn't put anything on anything. So, I mean, literally everything that I've got in the studio today has a cord plugged up to it, and it is not functional. It is not helping me out at all. So, if you are hip to a device that can charge 3 different things at one time, without all 3 of the things needing a cord, hit me up. I need it right now because, baby, I feel like I'm serious. I have cords everywhere. And I just realized I got cords in the way of my buttons, so I got to move this cord out of the way. Can y'all see me? I'm just, this ain't good radio. I know. This is not good radio, but I gotta be able to have my devices, man. Without the devices, I can't tell you what's going on. So hope everybody had a blessed and safe weekend. I know I sure did, and glad to be back in the studio with you. Of course, David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint and writer for CrescentCitySports.com, will be joining us for Media Monday. Got one of those compelling shows. Over the weekend. Obviously, baseball got started. Real baseball got started with the National League and American League getting it going on Thursday when the New York Yankees took on the Washington Nationals in Game 1. And then the Astros got it started on Friday, 8-10. They took on Seattle. They beat the brakes off of them. Justin Verlander got the win. And then also the Colorado Rockies beat Toronto in their season opener. And then we come around to Saturday, and the Astros beat the brakes off of Seattle again. I think that I think the Rangers beat Colorado and then lost to Colorado yesterday. But anyway, we got news that Justin Verlander, ace and opening day starter for the Astros, may be done for the season already. Might be done. Had a little forearm injury, and some sports outlets are calling him done for the season, but Justin Verlander himself said, slow down, going to take a couple of weeks off to see how things go, and then we'll evaluate further from there. I know that he's undergoing an MRI today. I know this. And again, that might not be reported, but I know it for a fact. You know, I'm not one of those guys, oh, my sources say. I just know he's undergoing an MRI today. And, you know, there might be an announcement made today based on the results of the MRI. But Justin Verlander himself says he's going to take a little time before he decides if he's going to be done for the year or not. They're only playing 60 games, folks. They're only playing 60 games, and they got 3 of them already off the books. So they got 57 games left. And I'm not going to use all these cliches. Oh, it's a sprint to the finish. It's not a sprint to the finish. They can play 60 games. They're only going to play 60 games. Either you're going to be healthy for the majority of those 60 games or you're not. I believe the Astros have to have their ace pitcher ready for the end of the season, especially if they are in first place or within shot of being first place. Secondly, everybody and their mama is going to just about make the playoffs this year. I think 18 teams make the playoffs this year. 18. I don't have any doubt that the Astros are going to make the playoffs. It's when they get into the playoffs. Remember, the Astros are on the clock. Either you're going to win the World Series without cheating or you're not. And this was one of the things that we talked about with this shortened season due to coronavirus. It's anybody's to win. Anyone can get hot over the better part of 60 games, not name the Astros, not name the Yankees, not name the Dodgers, not name Washington. Anybody can. Anybody can. Oh, no, AJ, please. Not the Marlins, not Seattle. You don't know. You don't know. You can pontificate. You can look at your charts and your stats. But if multiple people, for whatever reason, I'm not claiming injury or viruses on people, but if multiple people go down for, let's say, the Yankees, you mean to tell me nobody else is going to win it because the Yankees are the favorite to win it? I mean, did y'all hear what happened down in Florida with the Marlins? Let me hit that real quick before David gets on here. Did y'all hear what happened down in Florida with the Marlins? Let's see, 2 games were called off for the Marlins because several players have tested positive for COVID-19. Several players for the Miami Marlins or Florida Marlins have tested positive for COVID-19, and they have had to cancel 2 of their regular season games. Now, they've got days built in that they can make those games up. Not the end of the world. The bigger question is, you got, 20 some odd people, 1 team positive. Let's wait and see. It's 11 and 2 coaches. So, Willie, if they reported 11 and 2 coaches, it's probably 20. It's probably 20, Willie. I just believe it's 20. That's just me. I'm not being a conspiracy theorist. No one told me. No one, I'm not covering for anybody. I don't get money for the number of times I say COVID. It's probably 20. And oh yeah, what about the asymptomatic people who don't know they have it? Test results haven't come back. I'm just saying, I could be wrong. I don't mind being wrong. I want to be right. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. So anybody can win this season. Anybody can win the World Series, and I don't want to hear that it'll have an asterisk beside it. If the Astros don't win, so what? You got to try it again next year. And oh yeah, do me a favor, do it without cheating. If the Yankees don't win it this year, so what? If Boston does, great. If Cleveland does, great. But baseball is back. And it's back in a different environment. It's back with different issues, and we'll see how it's going to finish. Basketball. They played preseason basketball over the weekend. Lou Williams got a little loss on his way home. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Rockets preseason opener. We'll talk about their weekend. We'll talk about the WNBA. They actually started real games this weekend. I caught a couple of them. So we'll talk about all that. And then on top of that, David Grubb and I are going to talk about, again, race in sports, because there's this new phenomena where people are literally saying they don't believe that there is any such thing as systematic racism. We're going to talk about it. I know, y'all want to hear scores and highlights. They ain't none. The Miami Marlins have somewhere between 13 and 29 players positive for COVID-19. There, chew that up. We'll be right back.
We all know Election Day is just around the corner. We want change. We need change. We can be the change. Exercise your right for change on Election Day. Don't talk about it. Let's be about it. So let's roll to the polls in record numbers, and we can make that change. This message is approved by KYOK 1140 AM, 92.3 FM, and KYOKradio.org.
Keith, the Rangers can win it all.
I am a non-attorney spokesperson representing a team of lawyers who've helped people that have been injured or wronged.
Keith, the Rangers are just a few seasons removed from appearances in the World Series.
Then pay close attention
Remember
to
those Josh Hamilton
FDA said it detected low levels of a probable
coach or manager wash
known as
years?
NDMA in Zantac and other generic forms of this popular drug. They've banned sales and even removed it from the market. If you've been diagnosed with cancer and you've taken Zantac or a generic equivalent, call the legal helpline now. You could receive a free cash award and have your medical expenses covered. And there's no upfront cost to you. They only get paid if you win. So please call now. 800-251-7816. 800-251-7816. 800-251-7816. That's 800-251-7816.
If you are trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs,
Willie,
listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 800-961-2730. 800-961-2730. That's 800-961-2730.
Having trouble getting focused? Getting your to-do list done?
Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you.
KYOK 1140 and 92.3.
It's inspiring. It's empowering.
It's life-changing.
It's called to inspire with best-selling author and motivational speaker, Dr. Sylvia Cole. Tune in every Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock here on the legendary KYOK, 1140 AM, 92.3 FM, and KYOK.org.
I'm Ben Tankard, and you are listening to The Lunch Break.
All right, y'all. We're back here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I'm AJ Jones. It's Media Monday, and I asked, we're waiting on David Grubb to join us. He'll be here shortly. I asked Willie Gibson up in Columbus, Ohio, to give me a shout real quick. Willie, how you doing, man?
Good, sir. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Willie, if I had your voice, man, I'd be singing 1 in a Million by Larry Graham. Can you sing, Willie?
Can I sing?
Yeah.
you know somebody asked a question back to you, you know what they mean, right?
Yeah. That's true. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
You're right, Willie. You know what? Good looking out, because I've noticed that about people. Yo, man, can you play spades? Can I play spades? Yeah. Okay. Never mind. Never mind.
Right.
Yeah. But hey, Willie. So, did you watch any of the Major League Baseball games this weekend?
I did a little bit. Watched a little bit of the Indians. Carlos Carrasco. Crazy comeback story for him.
Yeah.
Battled leukemia last year, came back, struck out 10 yesterday for the win. So got a little bit of it there.
What'd you think of the way it looked without fans in the stands, with the piped in fan sounds and other stuff? What stood out to you?
Different, very different. You see a walk on, not this weekend. I think one of the preseason games had a walk off. And, you think a walk-off, the crowds don't go crazy, everybody's coming out, and it was just silent. So, a little different, a lot to get used to, but, as they say, a new normal for now. And, that's what we have. But for how much longer now with this whole Miami Marlins piece coming down, how much longer we would have this?
Yeah, I'm a little concerned that Major League Baseball didn't have a better plan / segment 38.9-58.3, where in the event that a team cannot play because of COVID-19, we will do X, Y, and Z. It's almost like that one caught them by surprise.
Absolutely. It's almost as though, they just have a plan. They just did not have a plan. And, you look at Adam Silver in the NBA with the bubble, they approached the MLBPA with that bubble, and they struck it down within 5 seconds.
Right.
We don't want to be away for 10 weeks. We don't want to be in Arizona. We don't want to be. And now here it is, less than 5 days rather into the season. You have this, and, who knows where it goes from here.
What was interesting to me, got Willie Gibson joining me from Columbus, Ohio, here on Media Monday on the lunch break. What was interesting to me on the Thursday night game with Washington and the Yankees, the commentators were gloating about the protocols in place. You won't see any high fives. You will see social distancing in the dugout. You'll see this. You'll see that. And while they were talking, guys were high-fiving. Guys were doing very little social distancing, and there was nobody social distancing in the dugout, save for the the pitchers and the catchers who were way out in the out in the bullpen. So I don't know, Willie. What do you think? David Grubb just joined us. David, we are talking with Willie Gibson up in Columbus, Ohio. We're talking about baseball and what the experience was like for him watching it on TV. Willie, did you notice them adhering to any kind of protocols on the games that you watched?
I did not. It's funny. I didn't the games I was watching, but I will say this. I saw a clip earlier this morning. It was kind of funny. It's as funny as this situation can be. You had I don't remember the game. It was Arizona. I think the Diamondbacks manager came up to argue a call. And the umpire takes his face mask off, reaches in his pocket, pulls out a mask, and as the manager is running up on him to argue, is putting on his mask to argue back. And I thought that was just so hilarious. I mean, granted, the seriousness of the situation, we get it, but to see that, and the manager, of course, got ejected, but to see an umpire fumbling through his pocket looking for a mask, to put on to argue with this manager was crazy to me.
Yeah, what's crazy is Lou Piniella would have just been like, forget this, man, I quit, because I need to get in your face, I need to spit in your mouth, I need you to feel me right now. I need you to do you feel the words that I'm saying? Willie, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for calling in. And hey, man, stay on top of that Florida. Watch, you're gonna find them right, Willie. They said 13. It's 29. Yeah. It's 29, Willie. I know it's 29.
All right, we'll see. I got you.
All right, brother. Appreciate you as always, man. Tell the family we said hello.
No doubt. Appreciate you.
All right, Willie Gibson from Columbus, Ohio. Good dude, man. I gotta get him on the show via the video so everybody can see. Dude sounds like he could blow on 1 in a million, man. On 1 in a million. He sounds like he could tear that up. Willie, if you can't sing, what you got to do is you got to just hit it and get off of it. That way they won't catch that you weren't on any kind of note, man. Just let the voice.
That's the Hey Love album, right? That's the Hey Love album.
That's what it is, bro. That's what it is.
You got no, my brother. You got to get your own.
Man, that's crazy, man. Don't take me back to the late night TV. Here in the middle. It's the Hey Love album. Hey, my brother, what can I get? Can I borrow that now, my brother?
Where did you get that album?
Yeah.
You should already have those songs. That's the thing. It's like, really? By the late 80s when that was rocking, all them songs you should have had. You didn't have the Child Lights by 1988? If you didn't have the Child Lights, come on now. Come on.
David, I got them, bro, but I got them on 8-track. I can't play those in my new car.
Now you know you get yourself. You go down to the Walgreens or whatever. You get yourself a blank cassette. You know what I'm saying? You put that sucker in. You turn on the radio when they get the slow jams at 9 o'clock at night, and you press record to play and try to stop before they finish. Like, I gotta get that before the DJ start talking, and then you get another one. Next thing you know, you got your whole mixtape.
They
don't know about this.
Millennials don't know nothing about what we had to go through to make mixtapes back in the day, bro. Back in the day.
And you be right by that pause button. Come on. You don't want to hear that DJ say, "All right, welcome." No.
No.
I can't have that. I can't have you talking over the end. So you start listening when you get to that last minute of the record. You listening for that fade. So you hit that button.
All right, so watch this. You cannot be under the age of, how old are you, David? How old are you?
44.
Oh, you know what? You weren't going to make the cut. I was going to say you cannot be under the age of 45, but you cannot be under the age of 44 to answer this question. What song did you wait for the longest to record on your cassette player so that you could have it for yourself?
Oh, that's got to be the I Love You. The one, what's your boy?
What's his name? Lenny.
Lenny, yes.
Yeah.
Waiting for that Lenny. When that Lenny, oh, come on. They don't play that on the regular. When they were the Friday night slow jams, I was waiting for the Lenny because that one didn't get they don't always pull that one out. That's a trump card right there. You dropping an ace of spades when you pull out with Lenny. When you hear that guitar, boom, boom, doom, doom.
Stop talking. All right, so here you go. I had two of them. The extended mix of Just to Be Close to You by the Commodores and the extended remix of Reasons by Earth, Wind, and Fire.
I see, yeah, you Just to Be Close to You. I mean, that's the most country. That's when you knew that Lionel Richie liked writing country records, because that's a country record. That's not a country record. It's a great song. I'm just saying, but that's a country record. When he starts talking about everything of value, they have no value at all. That's country music right there. And look, that's cool. But that's why he did that album Tuskegee. Remember he did his album Tuskegee? That was a lot of them kind of records.
My God. David, there are people right now that are scratching their heads because they don't know what you're talking about, Doc. They have no idea that, man.
The things that has so much value, they have no value at all.
I gotta take a break. Wait, David. Wait, I gotta take a break. We'll be right back with David Grubb right after this on the lunch break.
I was a lonely man.
Satellite internet where cable can't. Well, you can have affordable satellite internet service for a few dollars a day. Or you can get many satellites installed, and you can have unlimited internet connection. Our office and no cable boxes means unlimited. No clutter. You can
just
surf
for a moment, baby.
Any of your favorite television services.
Just for an hour, baby.
The best part is satellite internet service costs only $1 a day.
Yeah.
Or stream television for
$1
a day.
They had a 3-minute radio edit, and then they had like an 18-minute, and I had to wait for that 18 minutes.
800-712-8044.
People don't know about the B-sides. They just go on forever.
8044.
Ohio Players B-sides?
I'm telling you.
8044.
Man, it was like 22 minutes of music. You be like, come on. The full version of Papa Was a Rolling Stone is 9 minutes.
Seek ye first the kingdom of God and
But
his
that's
righteousness.
it. That's all right there. You sit there and oh, come on, I can see.
It's inspiring.
I'm done.
Empowering.
Oh my gosh, man.
Life changing.
It's called To Inspire with best-selling author and motivational
Billy Gibson says, I'll do it on the air.
Tune in every Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock here on the legendary KYOK. 1140 AM, 92.3 FM, and KYOK.org.
This is Brian Courtney Wilson, and you're listening to The Lunch Break.
All right, y'all. We're back here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK. David Grubb got me. I can't even breathe, man. I cannot even breathe. But so I asked the question. You cannot be under the age of 44 to answer this question. What was the song that you waited the longest for to try and record on your CD player off the radio? I said Just to Be Close to You, the long version, and Reasons, the long version. David, what was yours again, David?
Lenny Williams. I love you.
I love you. Willie Gibson said Always and Forever. That's a good one, Willie. That's a good one. Let's see. Somebody just hit me. Let me see. Wait a minute. I don't have their name, but it's 832-248. They said, I Call Your Name Girl by Switch. Okay.
Come on. That's the jam.
Listen, the line in that song that got me, he said, I'm a man, baby, a grown man.
Hey, Bobby DeBarge was no joke. Bobby was some truth.
Oh my God.
And it's just so crazy how much he and L sound alike. That's just crazy. I mean, like it almost sounds the same. That falsetto is so pure.
Yeah.
Bobby was bad.
Yeah, man. I tell you, anyway, don't get me started, bro, because I used to do music when I was in New Orleans on WYLD. Yeah, I sat in on Mellow Moods. Keita Allen did a show called Mellow Moods.
That was on for a while.
Bruh, she let me sit in for her one time. I thought I had died and gone to heaven, man. I really did. So, but anyway, David, I wanted to hit the hot spots real quick. Major League Baseball got started this weekend for, obviously the Yankees in Washington started on Thursday, but the Astros got their season opener in. The Rangers got their season opener in. Astros took 2 out of 3 from Seattle, but they may have lost Justin Verlander for the rest of the season. He's going to try and sit out for a couple of weeks and reevaluate. I know he's getting an MRI done today. But, again, it's wide open this season. Anybody can come out of the pack and be on top after 60 games.
Well, it might get a lot more wide open if everybody keeps contracting coronavirus. I mean, you have 14 Marlins now, and you've had
20.
The Kansas City.
Go ahead.
So, the Kansas City Royals lost 7 members of their starting lineup. So, it's going to get even more wide open if they can finish this at all. And, I mean, I'm really concerned because baseball is a lot easier to social distance with than football. Mm-hmm. And you're seeing these outbreaks in locker rooms like crazy. But as far as on the field, I mean, the things that started off with the Yankees looked good. The Dodgers looked good. That's who you thought were going to look good early on. But I think it really, like I said, the fact that the divisions are not balanced, that the AL East is going to be playing the NL East only, and you won't get those kind of things. I think certain divisions have advantages there. And we won't really know until any of this shakes out. Because whoever's playing the Marlins coming up, I mean, are you just giving them wins, or who are they going to put on the field? I mean, so like, what is the gauge of who's playing well when you have so many of these things going on?
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing, they postponed those games. They have not canceled them, so they're going to use whatever makeup days that they built into the schedule. I know it's not a lot. I know it's not a lot, but they'll use what they have and go from there. David, I'm having a little problem with my camera. Do me a favor, give everybody an update on what you talked about on your most recent show for Hard in the Paint. I'm going to come right back on when I get this camera fixed on.
Yeah, we had some great legal conversation about some of the legality of the waiver situation in college and high school football and what those things could mean, the economic weight that's being put on the shoulders of student athletes, particularly in college, to get economies going and save athletic departments. We talked about that. We talked about just the protections that players don't have. And at the time, the NFL was still working on its negotiations to have a safe work environment. I'm still not 100% sure about those. And Friday, I had Erica Fernandez on out of quickouttheblocks.com, that's run by Sheena Quick. And Erica and I talked a lot of baseball there. Unfortunately for Erica, she's a Mets fan, but I let that slide. But we talked a lot of baseball. We talked some more too, just about breaking in this business and in this age of having to establish your own individual identity. And we talked about the team names too, and about how important it is for people to have their own identity, and that it's not about how you individually feel about a name. It's about the people impacted by it. And so that was a great conversation too. So last week was really great as far as just listenership and the amount of guests, the guests that we had. I did 6 episodes again last week.
Oh, wow.
So that's 12 in the first 2 weeks we've done. And I was a little late today because I was finishing up the episode for today. And we just got, tonight I got a good set of guests. I got Brandon Robinson, Scoop B is going to be with me on Thursday. Wednesday I do Dawn Patrol Ross Jackson. And then tomorrow, Valencia King tonight. That's what I'm. Yeah, okay. So she and I do an interview tonight, and then I'm appearing with her tomorrow on her show. So it's going to be a good week, and we've already gotten up near 1,000 downloads in the first 2 weeks. So it's been moving well. I'm excited.
That's what's up, man. I'm really, really glad to hear it. Donna Coleman-Holman tuning in. She's Caller of the Year 2019. Appreciate her tuning in. But yeah, man, I saw you had, some of the guests that you had coming on. I knew those were going to be solid shows, man. So we got the link posted on in the body of the show. So anybody who has yet to have the opportunity to check out David Grubb and Heart in the Paint, I want you to go ahead and get that done, because I'm telling you, he's been banging them out of the park. Valencia King just came on. Yep, it's going to be fun. So I can't wait to hear and see that show. And then, of course, to check y'all out on The Dialogue tomorrow on IGTV. So I know I'm definitely tuning in for that. So, David, so we got baseball. We're going to see what they're going to do. Nothing really jumped out as far as players or plays or anything like that. I know that I'm not a big fan of that extra inning rule.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
Yeah, putting a runner on second base. Who was it? Who was the pitcher? Was it a pitcher for Cleveland that said that's the weakest stuff?
It's cheap
stuff I've ever seen. He said, "Do you know how hard it is to get a runner on second base on the back end of a bullpen? Let us play." I felt him on that, because that wasn't solid.
Because what do you need? All you need is 2 bunts.
Right.
That's all you need is 2 bunts to get it in.
Yeah.
If you can put them down, and I got a runner on second, that's a bunt and a sac fly.
Right. Yeah, don't let it.
That's all it is.
Right. Don't let it be a speedy runner and they can steal third or whatever the case may be.
But you don't even have to. I mean, you lay down the sacrifice, get them to third, and then you try to get a sac fly, and it's over. I mean, it's that simple. I mean, you don't tell the guy to get that, but I mean, like, you just don't strike out. That's your whole thing, is don't strike out, because if you put it in play, deep enough in the hole, I would score from third.
Yeah. So yeah. I just I appreciated his frankness. I appreciated that he didn't mince words, and I had to agree with him, because I get you don't want to extend the games, what have you, but you don't want to give a team an unfair advantage either. And the home team in that particular case is disadvantaged. So
if you wanted to, I could see if you were trying to just do this as an experiment. If you said we're going to start the count at 1-1, that's different.
Right.
That's different, because now nobody really has an advantage or whatever. Right. But you put somebody on second in the late innings, like you said, that's the hardest thing to do, because these are pitchers that don't give up walks. That's why you put them in the back of the bullpen. They don't walk people. They are strikeout arms, and you're giving us a runner at second base where anything now can happen. Anything. You're forcing your infield to pay extra attention when that runner breaks for third on a sharply hit ground ball.
Right.
And all it takes is that 1 second. There's an error, and now the guy's running in, and it's just, a wild pitch changes the whole thing. It changes everything. You throw a wild pitch on that first batter, and now you got a guy at third on your first batter. Come on,
right?
It's just it's not fair. It's not.
It's not. I got to be honest with you, man. I'm not a big fan of the Major League Baseball commissioner. When he first came in, I thought, okay, we got some fresh blood in here. Maybe we'll see some deal. But dude has not. He's had a tough 2020. 2020 has not been good for him.
No, because he didn't do right by the union, and he got busted for saying his intentions. Basically, we were never going to give them more than 60. Tried to cut their money. That didn't work. He's just made everything more hostile. The changes that they've proposed to the game, expanding the playoffs for baseball doesn't work. Because doing one game, baseball is not a sport that you can settle who's the better team in one game. You can't do it. I mean, there's too many pitching variables and hitter variables to say in one game, and you're going to send a team home that has 100 wins, during or whatever, and they go home because of one game. Baseball has messed that part up. And again, the sport's just become more regional. It's become more white, and it's become older in its fan base. And that is not good for the future of a game when everybody else is getting more international, is looking outside its boundaries to find talent. And baseball is a world game, and yet they're not bringing enough of that world talent to the United States.
Well, but you know what? As I'm starting to be a little bit more aware, I ain't saying I'm woke yet, but a little bit more aware. Maybe it's doing what it's supposed to do. Maybe it's doing what we want it to do.
I guess we've talked about this before. Baseball and football are the standard bearers for the American psyche. They appeal to what people think America should be. And so baseball, absolutely. The unwritten rules, the language barrier, all those things that baseball puts in place. Doesn't promote Latino players. It doesn't promote African-American players. And then you still, on top, it doesn't even really do a great job promoting its white players, but they don't care because they're still making the money. But they most certainly, you don't have a Ken Griffey Jr. now. You don't have a Frank Thomas now. You don't have a Barry Bonds or Ricky Henderson. All the characters, the people that you gravitated to for one reason or another, baseball has worked really hard to eliminate personal expression from the game. You don't see the cats out there wearing the high socks like they used to. You don't see guys, paying homage to different things. It's just baseball's trying to suck all the personality out of the game. And I think watching stuff like the Caribbean World Series, Mexican leagues, Korean baseball, those people are having fun. And why can't Major League Baseball figure out how to make the game fun?
Yeah. I thought the Bryce Harpers and the Mike Trouts and Santana and those guys, Soto, and those guys were going to be able to change the culture, but no.
You see what they did to Bryce Harper?
Yeah.
They got on about his hair length, which is hidden under his cap and his batting helmet. And yet that was a thing. Bryce Harper's hair length. And the whole thing about how long it takes for you to trot around the bases and have bat flips, and you don't break up a no-hitter with. Stop it. It's a game and you're trying to win. If a bunt gets me on and my team has a chance to win during your no-hitter, that's on you, dude. That my game is not supposed to help you facilitate a no-hitter. My job is not to, you don't try to score when you're up 5. Why not? What other sport would you say that? The game and baseball is a game with no time limit. So if it has no time limit, I need to score as many runs as possible because I don't know what you might do.
Yeah, well, you remember in football, Mr. Mason Rudolph got mad because Myles Garrett was still trying to sack him when the game was no longer in question. And it's
why are you passing?
That's what I'm saying. How come I can't still play?
Unless you're in victory formation, what do you want from me? You took a snap, you went back to pass. My job is to rush the passer. What's the problem? If you don't want it, this is not high school, this isn't college. These are professionals. And so if you're a professional, your job is to play for the entirety of the game. Unless the coach says don't do. If the coach says don't do, then that's something else. But everybody else knows that stuff comes up on film. Myles Garrett, if he had not rushed the passer, and they go to the film session on Monday, who's getting called out?
Man, listen, Myles Garrett's got sack bonuses in his contract. I'm coming to get you every chance I can. if you're in the bathroom and there's a whistle that hadn't blown, it's on.
I'm finding you.
It's on.
That's his job. Follow you to the sideline, to the locker room. If that whistle ain't blown, me and you together.
Yep. So that's baseball. What about basketball? You saw we finally got some preseason action where they played teams other than themselves. Other than Lou Williams, what were your thoughts on NBA preseason so far?
We didn't learn anything. You know what I mean? Like the teams that came back who have a chance look relatively good. They look like they're going to play. They look like they're here to play. The teams that have no real chance, they didn't look like they were ready to play. I mean, you looked at Washington, you looked at Orlando, you look teams that lost players due to coronavirus or whatever, or teams that don't really think that they have a chance to win, they played like they don't really have a chance to win.
Gotcha.
And I think so. I mean, I see you can see where some teams, everybody's like, well, LeBron looks like he's in mid-season form. Well, they lost the first game and then they won the second one. And did it make any difference to you? Do you feel any different about the Lakers' chance? You still got them as one of the top 2 teams in the West. Nothing changed.
Right.
So, I mean, I think that's all you wanted was guys to not get hurt. I think that's the whole thing is can you get through these exhibition part and guys not get hurt? And then so that when you do have the games begin on the 30th, right. That people are ready to play. But other than that, it wasn't great basketball. It wasn't great. It was good to see basketball, but the games themselves weren't anything to write home about.
What did you think about the production, television production? Anything stand out to you?
The announcers have to do a better job for some of these. Having the home team announcers do the games, some of these you're seeing the disparity there. I think the court itself is fine. I think the way that they have the players situated, even though the players better get the understanding that you don't be jumping around. You saw Joel Embiid come from behind the part. Can't do that. Somebody's got to be very serious about these things. Stay in your seat. Don't jump out of the partitions. You can stand up where you are and cheer, but can't do those types of things. I don't like the fake crowd noise. I get that it's kind of cool for those fans who get to participate. I think it's like 200 from every team that get to do it. But I mean, it's just like with the baseball. When I hear the fake cheers on the broadcast, I don't like it because I know there's no people. And it's like hearing a show, watching a TV show where it's got a laugh track.
Yeah.
It gets annoying after a while.
Yeah.
It's like if it's not, don't make me think it's funny. I know there's no people out there. So who's queuing up when something important happens? What happens when you miss it? And then I think the announcers don't do a great job of understanding how to deal with the social change aspect of this. They kind of fling it in and they don't really do a good job of addressing it because the vast majority of these announcers are white men. I mean, they don't get it. And so they don't know how to address it. And I thought one of the worst mistakes they made was somebody kept cheering about how great it was the NBA was keeping the players safe, which is fine. That's what you want. But in a country where this pandemic is getting worse, where like 1 out of every 5 people in Florida now has it, and they're waiting. I had a friend who had to take the test. It took him 7 days to get his results. His wife and his baby daughter had to leave the house until he got his results. Don't need to pat the NBA on the back for having the money to pay for something that the vast majority of Americans don't have access to, which is instant testing.
Right. Let me take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into any of the things that might have jumped out on the WNBA side. I guess we better quit avoiding Lou Williams. Go ahead and talk about that. Got David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint, writer for CrescentCitySports.com. It's Media Monday right here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM.
Has someone in your family lost a job recently, and now you can't afford your mortgage payment? Or do you have a rental property and your tenants aren't paying you? Quick Cash Offer can come to the rescue and pay you cash for your home immediately. Yes, sell your home and get cash all over the phone without dealing with real estate agents and risking your safety by showing your home to lukewarm buyers. You don't need to lose your home to foreclosure. If you have any equity in your home, we will buy it and give you cash within days, all in a simple over-the-phone and virtual process. Call Quick Cash Offer now before the economy gets worse. Sell a home you can't afford or just don't want to get the cash you need today.
800-780-1431. 800-780-1431. 800-780-1431. That's 800-780-1431.
This is a potter's field. When people can't pay for their funerals, they are buried here. It is a lonely, desolate place, littered with unmarked headstones. No one visits. No one leaves flowers. But it doesn't have to be that way. For as low as $1 a day, you can ensure your family will have the money to pay your funeral expenses. We offer burial insurance plans that pay up to $30,000. Considering the average funeral costs more than $10,000, that's peace of mind for your family. There are no medical exams, your rates won't increase, and your policy cannot be canceled as long as you make your premium payments. Call now to get approved in minutes and ensure your final resting place is more than just a pauper's grave in a potter's field.
800-308-6729. 800-308-6729. 800-308-6729. That's 800-308-6729. Paid for by Final Expense Direct.
I am a non-attorney spokesperson representing a team of lawyers who help people that have been injured or wronged. If you've been involved in a serious car, truck, or motorcycle accident, or injured at work, you have rights, and you may be entitled to money for your suffering. Don't accept an offer you get from an insurance company until you talk to a lawyer. And we represent some of the best personal injury lawyers you can find. Tough lawyers that will fight to win your case. And they're so good they stake their reputation on it by only getting paid if you win. So if you've been in a serious car, truck, or motorcycle accident or hurt on the job, find out today for free what kind of compensation you may be entitled to. Call the legal helpline right now.
800-547-4170. 800-547-4170. 800-547-4170. That's 800-547-4170.
Again I say unto you, if two of you shall agree on earth as touching anything, it shall be done for them by my Father who is in heaven. For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. Matthew 18, 19, and 20.
That's the gospel.
And we're KYOK 1140 AM and 92.3 FM.
My name is Devon McDonald from Jamaica. Play with Indianapolis Colts, and you listen to the lunch break.
All right, y'all, we're back here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I'm AJ Jones. Big shout out to my girl G Solo from the Houston Energy. What's going on, G? We got to get you back on the show. She said, nice shirt. Hey, I'm trying to give love to the HBCUs. You know me. I'm waiting on some other ones to come in, though, man. I'm trying to get them from all around the country, man.
Yeah, I've been adding some more to my collection. You know I love T-shirts.
You just tore up your contract with iHeartRadio? What you doing, man?
Oh, no. I had some old notes that I was trying to get out my way. They were just sitting in front of me, and I had to get them away. Sorry, my bad. I didn't think they would hear. You would hear them. My bad.
No problem. Yeah, man, I'm trying to get them from all around the country. What's that song? All around the world, same song.
Digital Underground. That's right.
Yep,
I can do that whole one. You want me to do the whole thing for you? I'll do it.
You know what? You are something, bro. You are something. Were you a DJ, like spinning and mixing back in the day?
For parties, yeah. I did parties on college campus, yeah.
You had your 1200s?
Yeah. I got in a little bit of trouble for having too many parties.
David, who you get in trouble with?
Our director of multicultural affairs, Dr. Barbie Myers-Oaks, who I love. I love her. I love that woman, and she's now I think at Arizona State, I want to say. But,
okay.
Yeah, she had me come to office more than once to say, David, you gotta stop doing that. I said, okay, yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm glad that trouble wasn't for always.
We were just having fun with kids, playing a little music, dancing. That's all.
That's hilarious. Hey, Lou Williams got in a little trouble over the weekend. Had to leave the bubble for family reasons, go down to Atlanta, And I guess he thought he was in Florida, and he got Magic City confused with Magic Kingdom, and he was looking for good chicken wings. Looking for good chicken wings because apparently they don't have good chicken wings in the bubble. And one of the rappers, local rappers, took pictures. Yo, what's up? And there's a picture of Sweet Lou Williams, supposed to be taking care of family issues, and dropped in to try and get some takeout chicken wings.
Should have stayed in the car. Like I do know I've never been to Magic City. Let me just be clear. I've never been to Magic City. But from the people I know from Atlanta, they all tell me that Magic City is they cater. Like that their kitchen is that well known that they cater. So even if you wanted them wings, you shouldn't have got out the car. Because you cannot give anybody the opportunity to take a picture of you. You just can't. You cannot in this situation have people. It's no different than Deion Waiters. Remember when he told the Miami Heat he was sick and they get pictures of him on a yacht hanging out. You got to stay home. You got to go wherever it is you say you're going. You're rich, at least wealthy enough to have somebody pick them wings up for you, bro. And
so that's why I'm kind of wondering: was you just going in for the wings,
or the thighs,
or were you
there for the thighs?
Hey man, here go $20. Can you run inside and pick up our order for me, please? I just bring it right back to him. And in fact, here go $40. Get something you want to. And can you bring me my stuff, please?
I don't know if I would send somebody in with cash and tell them, get what you want to. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how I'd have done that.
Hey.
I'm sure Lou Will has a tab or could have prepaid or Apple Pay or something. But yeah, get them wings, have somebody waiting for you on the street when you pull up, drop the wings through the window and keep it moving.
I'm an enterprising young man. I'm trying to do you know how they used to have the valet car services, parking services. They didn't belong to the restaurant. And, somebody just said, okay, listen, I'm going to park cars for you. I'll make a little money and I'll give you a little money. I'm going to pick up to-go orders for you. You don't have to put your people at risk.
Never.
My folks. And
I'm outside. Yep, I'm outside. You tell me what you want. I got my mask. I'm walking in. I get your wings. I'll be right back, bro.
I got you. Valencia King said, okay, but how do we know his family emergency wasn't at Magic City? Bam.
I mean, that's plausible deniability. That's plausible.
Okay.
He could have been checking up on a friend. You don't know. Maybe a friend needed an emergency, a cousin that just got in some trouble at the Magic City and needed some help.
Listen, it has been decades, but I used to have to go and pull somebody out of a couple of places like that because the wife said he gonna blow all the money. We got rent, we got mortgage, we got that. Can you please go get it? So yeah, I can relate.
It worked out though. Actually, it works out for the Pelicans because the Pelicans supposed to play the Clippers on their second game, and Lou Will is out for that now.
And that's the thing. He's going to miss not only preseason, but he's going to miss a couple of regular season games. Valencia came back and said, I don't trust nobody with my food, man. Karen says, going to make the donuts back in 30 minutes. Karen, make those donuts come on back in. But you know what I'm saying? Listen, even before Rona, I only use those food services that have those seal bags where if it's not sealed when I get it, you take it back and you're paying for it. So, I'm just saying, okay, all joking aside, you are the Claw, Kawhi Leonard, you are Paul George, you're Patrick Beverly, who I know he had his own, emergency outside. What are you saying to Lou Williams about what this decision did to affect the whole team?
I mean, obviously they're disappointed because they're all there supposed to be focused on one goal. But I mean, these were the things that I think that the NBA had to really understand is that people, when you're cooped up and you have no choice, I mean, we've seen people just quote unquote accidentally just walk off the campus and go beyond the perimeter. And I think people are in some ways, they're kind of already tired of being in these hotels and having to see these same people and having no semblance of what the life is that they're used to. Mm-hmm. So I think there's going to be some poor decisions made. But yeah, I think his teammates, his coaching staff are going to tell him they're disappointed. But what can you do now? You just have to live with it. You can't go back and you're going to yell at him and do that when you know you need him and those 20 points that he brings off the bench. So what are you going to do? You just have to be like, Lou, go into quarantine and don't do that again while we're here, please. I mean, because that's the whole thing. Please, what else can you tell a grown man?
Yeah. Well, after seeing The Last Dance, there's a whole lot you could tell him.
Well, if you're Michael Jordan, I guess, but Kawhi ain't that.
Is there anybody on that Clippers team that can go Michael Jordan, a la Michael Jordan on it?
I think Lou Will's enough of a teammate that you don't really have to go crazy on him. I think he's that, he doesn't respond to that. You've seen Lou Williams enough to know he's a really calm, kind of soft-spoken dude, from St. Louis, and just doesn't vibe. I don't think yelling at him is going to be the thing that gets through. But I think Doc Rivers, we know what kind of coach he is, that he is not somebody that you go around and try to take advantage of. So I think Doc will be very serious with him. I think his teammates, you have guys like Montrezl Harrell, you have, like you said, Pat Bev. These are, and if you're Paul George, your whole thing is, man, this might be my only shot.
Right.
I've never been to a finals. I'm trying to get there. My body's already starting to wear down.
Right.
This might be it for me. And I think that's where it kind of comes down to, is the guys are just going to be like, look, as long as we're in here and we all have to be uncomfortable, then we all have to be uncomfortable.
Yeah. They need to bring Marshawn Lynch in there and let him behind the mask say, listen, you got to take care of your mentals, your body, and your chicken.
Marshawn wouldn't have been in that bubble. I can't see Marshawn in a bubble. That ain't. If there's one thing that dude don't.
He ain't staying long. He gonna come in. They're gonna do his forehead. They're gonna say, we're not testing anything else. You good? Come on in. Talk to the team, and then go ahead and go back out.
Literally, look. Can you imagine? I can't see. I could not see him showing up to a camp this year. And I know that people have talked to him about going back and everything, but I couldn't see players like that showing up at a camp knowing what they know. Yeah. Marshawn, you don't need it, and I think that's football. Woo, yeah, we get into that probably soon, but. That bubble, the NBA bubble is going to be, and they're going to be the most successful at it, most likely, and they're still going to have people who test positive.
Yeah. Before we get out of this first hour and get into what I really want to talk about today, Kyrie Irving, $1.5 million for players in the WNBA that opted out so they can make their chicken. Good thing. What do you think?
The NBA players have to start showing the same level of support that the WNBA players have shown for them.
Yeah.
The WNBA players have stood up and been more forceful, more vocal, and more, quite frankly, more passionate about a number of these issues than the men have. And they have shown up over and over again. And the NBA players, to the large extent, WNBA players were on those calls that Kyrie made.
Right, absolutely.
And I think Kyrie understands that. For as much as he's pilloried and people want to talk bad about the dude, he put his money where his mouth is, and he put some money down for those who he knows are even at a greater risk than any NBA player. Even the NBA player making a minimum is making more than most WNBA players. So, yeah, they needed to do this. I hope more players do this to support them. And I hope more players continue to support that league and come out and say, because what the Liberty did and what the Storm did, the bravery that they showed before that first game and what they continue to do, they need to be supported. They need to be held up. And this is, as African-American men, we have these things where we've seen black women say, buy a black man lunch today, cuz. No. We need to be doing this for them because they're not getting even the benefit that we get as men in a patriarchy. So we need to set up and make sure that they're taken care of and lifted up.
Yeah, man, I was very glad to see it, especially, if it's going to help or incite other players to do the same thing, because Kyrie, he does his own thing, does his, beat a different drummer and all that, but he definitely put his money where his comments and everything else were. So I applauded it, man. I thought it was a real good thing. I watched a couple of the women's games this weekend, and I'll be honest, my first thought was, man, this is pure basketball right here. This is not hype from the fans. This is not hype from the sound. This is not hype from, big dunks or anything like that. It's like, this is just pure basketball, man. It just felt real pure to me, and I enjoyed watching it. I really did.
Yeah, there were some really competitive games. I don't think you can be disappointed in the debut of Sabrina Ionescu. I mean, she didn't shoot the ball really, really well, but you saw that she does everything well.
Wait, David, let me hit this top of the hour real quick. Stay right there for me.
1140 KYOK Conroe, Houston. The legend continues.
The views and opinions expressed on all radio shows broadcast on KYOK are entirely those of the hosts, guests, and callers, who are entirely responsible for all show content and do not in any way reflect the opinions of KYOK Radio, its sponsors, staff, or management.
All right, y'all, we're back here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. It is our Media Monday. Got David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint, writer for CrescentCitySports.com, joining me on Monday as always. Appreciate him doing it because I know he's knocking out those bangers over there on Hard in the Paint on his new podcast. We're going to definitely, be posting up those when they come out. So we will let you know so y'all can tune in. Also want to shout out to our girl, Kelsey Nicole Nelson. She had another great week, man. She locked in some real good stuff as I checked her out this weekend. So good stuff, man. Appreciate all that y'all are putting out, all the good content that y'all are putting out on our various platforms.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many people now that are just taking the step further too. You know, I've watched a lot of Black content creators go from now saying, okay, I'm going to do my pod and I'm going to do more of this. And I think that that's a great thing, that we're kind of inspiring each other and pushing each other. Because I've had people reach out to me and say, well, how did you do this? How did you get this started? And, you know, I'm happy to give advice. I'm happy to learn too. So I think it's great that this community of communicators is really doing a great job of supporting each other and just getting our voices amplified and louder until they can't deny that they can hear us.
Absolutely. Valencia King, same thing with what she's doing with Real Talk Sports. Also the dialogue on IGTV. Willie Gibson, I'm glad you popped in. We got to get him connected with us as well. Willie's trying to get his podcast and things up and running, so we want to make sure that we get him involved as well. Minnesota Vikings trainer Eric Sugarman and his family test positive for coronavirus. Man, it's there. I mean, you can no longer deny coronavirus. You just can no longer deny it. If you're denying it, I almost feel like, and let me take my pastor cap off and my collar off, I almost feel like instead of having to sign disclaimers and waivers at football stadiums and to be able to be on the team, you should literally sign away that if you get coronavirus, you will not use one single resource at your local hospital, at a local clinic. You will not use one single resource. And if you infect somebody else, you are responsible financially for their medical care and or their funeral services. You literally, if you are that convinced that coronavirus is just a hoax and it is just to keep the president from getting reelected, then sign your tail on the dotted line. Sign right here. Initial right here. Let me flip this page over. This is the financial liability clause. Sign this, and then you go have at it. Don't wear a mask. Don't social distance. Don't stay out of the stadium and the arena. You go for it 100%. But you are going to be liable if you are wrong. And if you can't do that, then sit down, shut up, and throw a mask on your face and wash your hands. I mean, it's not hard, and it's not going to be forever if you do the right thing. Excuse me for going off.
I just think the problem is that those people don't care if you get sick. They don't care.
That's why they need to have that.
Even with the liability, and then if I have to die for that person to have liability, man, I'm not trying to die. So no. That's
what I said. Medical expenses and everything.
But if I don't make it, it don't help me that they paying for it. I want the people off the streets.
If I feel like I'm gonna cough, I'm running down to the Ready Clinic and I'm sending you that bill.
Man, I would just hate that. The problem is just that somebody has to die for you to be liable, and that's the thing is like you can make so many people infected and not know, and so, you know that it won't happen that way. And the sad thing is that most people, again, that's the American way is so much of we have sold individualism and have not promoted community.
Right.
You know, we keep telling people individual this, individual responsibility, individual success, individual that. And that's not real. Human beings are social creatures. Mammals are social creatures. We go by the group. We help the group. And we are not doing that. We are saying, well, it's up to you. No, it's up to all of us. And we have to put that pressure on each other societally. That's how things change.
Right.
It's by putting pressure. It's not leaving it up to the individual to figure it out. It's saying these are the things that as a group we will not accept anymore. And you are now the outlier. And you have to conform or get out. And that's what we do. And so to allow these people to keep making it a personal freedom issue ain't got nothing to do with freedom. This is collective responsibility. Freedom only works with responsibility. Freedom is not the freedom from it.
Right.
That's not the freedom from responsibility. You take on greater freedoms, you take on greater responsibility.
Yeah. Hey, real quick shout out to Sydney Colson, who's recovering from the coronavirus. Rodney DeWalt dropped that out. So yeah, Sydney, we're thinking about you and wishing you nothing but the best in your recovery process. All right, David, with all this being said, man, let's get to what I kind of really wanted to chop up today. I got to see Frederica on CNN did a very great series on race relations, and she didn't call it systematic racism, but she did a great job. She even brought sports in it. She had John Carlos on it. She had the longest living Black Olympian from the 1948 Olympics, Mr. Fredericks, was on. And then she brought in, of course, Bob Costas, which she could have left him somewhere else. But hey, his input is necessary as well. I'm starting to hear a lot of people inside sports, outside of sports, in political arenas, in business arenas, make the statement that they don't believe that systematic racism exists. They point to President Barack Obama. They point to Clarence Thomas. And seriously, they point to the Surgeon General. They point to, different Black people that are leading businesses. And they literally say there's no way that there could be systematic racism if we've had a Black president, we've got a Black Surgeon General, we've got a Black Supreme Court Justice, we've got Black people in Congress. There's just no way there can be systematic racism. So I'm a math guy. I'm numbers. Just layman's term. If you flipped a coin with a white side and a black side, if you flipped it 23 times, there is no way, statistically, that it'll come up only one time on the black side. No way. Heaven forbid you flipped it 23 days in a row. It only comes up once. No way you can flip it 231 years every single day, and only one time did it come up with a Black president. Now watch this. Imagine if you not only had a white side, but on the other side you had a half that was Black and a half that had a symbol of a woman. In 231 years, you've only had one Black male as a president. No other American nationality and no other woman, and nobody has thought that maybe that's for reasons other than just chance. That's just layman's, that's just simplistically. But there are people that literally believe there's no such thing as systematic racism.
You want me to go off? Do you want me to go off? Because I can. How much you giving me? How much rope you gonna give me on this?
Well, I can't give you much rope because my program director is listening, and it's.
I'm just saying how much on the stop clock.
Talk to me. Just talk to me. Let's go.
Okay. First, let's start with this. You cannot use exceptions as the rule.
Right.
And that's what first. People want to use the person who cracks through the rose that grows from concrete.
Right.
And say that is the norm.
Right.
So we know that is just not the truth.
Right.
If we want to do it, we could do, there's statistical evidence, there's anecdotal evidence, there is just anything that you want to look up. Environmental racism, you can find the data on that. You can find it in the judicial system where Blacks who commit the same crimes as whites get different punishments, whether it's even just the intervention of youth or if it's the prison sentences or whatever. All those things are different. When we talk about the fact that the rates, even though people want to do the raw numbers, they like to switch around and do raw numbers. But we know a black man is 1.5 times more likely to get killed by a cop than a white person, and a black woman is 1.5 times more likely than a white woman to get killed by police. So we know that those things are true. And we also know that the education system is not set up properly. We know that we have such a small, limited number of African Americans in Congress because of gerrymandering and voter suppression. And we also know, all these things that we know. So why do people deny it? It's the psychology of it. If you are born into this system, and this is the system that you know, and we are talking now about 200 plus 300 years of this system, legally bound by the Constitution of the United States. So you go on that and you say, every day I've woken up in the same system. If I feed you garbage every day for 3 meals a day, I feed you that garbage, and I tell you this is how you live. Yeah. You're gonna eat that garbage. You're gonna be like, this is what I have. This is garbage. Right. You don't know it's garbage. That's food. It's just food. So that's America. It's been feeding garbage to its citizens all this time, and they are just used to that garbage. It is accepted as that because it keeps them psychologically comfortable. Mm-hmm. If you had to deal with the fact that now that we know that less than 10% of all high school graduates can correctly identify slavery as the cause of the Civil War, that's intentional. That's not an accident. Right. These are things that when we know that when you look at the perceptions between blacks and whites about race, when you ask whites if race relations are good or bad, they always say that they're pretty good. Right. If they always say that Trump, if you ask them about if slavery has had a long-standing impact, more than 60% of whites say no. Right. And so we know these things. When you see the breakdown even for president, it's always the only people who have a positive perception of Donald Trump are white men and women, not Hispanics, not blacks, not nobody else has a majority of people who respond to him that way. So,
David, hold that thought right there. Let me hit this quick break. We'll come back with more right after this on the lunch break.
You can be the change. Exercise your right for change on Election Day. Don't talk about it.
Good stuff.
Let's be about it.
Good
let's
stuff.
roll
That's
to the polls in record numbers, and we can make that change. This message is approved by KYOK 1140 AM, 92.3 FM, and KYOKradio.org.
I am a non-attorney spokesperson representing a team of lawyers who've helped people that have been injured or wronged. Have you been diagnosed with cancer? Are you one of the millions who have taken Zantac or other generic versions of this popular drug to help treat stomach issues? Then pay close attention to this message. The FDA said it detected low levels of a probable cancer-causing chemical known as NDMA in Zantac and other generic forms of this popular drug. They've banned sales and even removed it from the market. If you've been diagnosed with cancer and you've taken Zantac or a generic equivalent, call the legal helpline now. You could receive a free cash award and have your medical expenses covered. And there's no upfront cost to you. They only get paid if you win. So please call now. 800-251-7816. 800-251-7816. 800-251-7816. That's 800-251-7816.
Having trouble getting focused? Getting your to-do list done?
Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you.
KYOK 1140 and 92.3.
It's inspiring. It's empowering.
It's life-changing.
It's called to inspire with best-selling author and motivational speaker, Dr. Sylvia Cole. Tune in every Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock here on the legendary KYOK, 1140 AM, 92.3 FM, and KYOK.org.
Hey, what's up? This is your boy James Fortune, and you are listening to The Lunch Break. Keep it locked.
All right, y'all, we're back here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I'm AJ Jones along with David Grubb. We're in our segment where we're talking about systematic racism, and, you know, we'll tie some to sports, some of it we won't, but there just seems to be a lot of folks that just don't believe that there is something called systematic racism. And they point to, as we've all said, and even Valencia King stated, when you only can do one name here and one name there, you're literally proving the point. You know, one president, 231 years. Yeah, we had Thurgood Marshall as a Supreme Court justice. We now have Clarence Thomas. Yes, there have been other black surgeon generals, what have you. But when you just look at the number of opportunities for qualified black people to be in some of these roles that they're pointing out to as examples, you literally are proving the point.
I mean, look, in the history of this country, we've had two, until Kamala Harris and Cory Booker got elected as senators, we had two blacks serving at the same time in the Senate for a grand total of like 6 months. In the history of this country, 6 months.
Yep.
And that was because you had the replacement for Barack Obama when he became president. And then I think at the time, I think Cory Booker was just getting into the Senate, maybe, or it was one other senator, I can't remember. But I mean, again, so you talk about the history of the country, and you've had two black female senators and 3 black male senators in the history of the country, and you've never had, like you said, a Hispanic, you've never had a Native senator, you've never had an Asian senator,
right?
So so you telling me that this is a country that rewards diversity? And a lot of it comes from the psychological part of like, Americans want to believe that their country is fair. That's the whole thing about America, is that this is a place of fairness and everybody has an opportunity. And anything that challenges that is psychologically upsetting to people. They don't want to believe that America is unfair. They can't do it, no matter how many reports you've seen from the United Nations, no matter how many reports come out from independent research organizations from around the world that show the United States isn't fair. They don't want to hear about it because it challenges their own self-esteem. Their self-esteem is wrapped up. No country, wraps itself more than the United States in its own belief in itself. That constant having to hang your flag up, that constant driving down to show you're an American to other Americans, to make other people prove their Americanhood. Just all those things are psychologically part of this whole thing. We always, like you said, unconscious bias. Everybody's seen the doll test. Everybody has heard about how doctors view black people still to this day in medical schools as being able to take more pain than other people, of black women dying in hospitals during childbirth because their pleas are ignored. So we know that the implicit bias exists. All these things are there, but people will sit there and tell you that anytime, for white folks, it is about inconvenience. And the things that they talk about in the unfairness of America are like, well, I didn't get this job, or I didn't get this thing. And black folk, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about real substantive things, and they're talking about inconvenience and things that bother them. We are talking about things that have impacted all of us to the point that it is in our DNA, literally. And that stuff is undeniable. And I think a lot of it just has to do with if they have not seen it themselves, if they have not experienced it themselves, it doesn't matter. And even if you tell them that you did, they view it as an isolated experience rather than something that is pervasive, no matter how many black people will tell you, because they'll think that on our end, we're blowing up the numbers, that we're exaggerating. But my question would be is, what would be the purpose in us spending all these centuries saying these things are happening? Why would we continue to do that and ask and beg and plead to be treated as human beings if something wasn't really wrong?
That brings up a good point. So let's say you had someone who does not fall in within our culture that literally said, okay, I don't believe that systematic racism exists, but what is it? Maybe if you help me understand what it actually is, I may be able to better see it. In your opinion, what would that be? What would systematic racism be?
All the things we've already talked about. Housing loans, redlining, all these things we can show you these things. The burning of black institutions when they did succeed, whether it's in Tulsa or whether it's what happened in Chicago. New Orleans has its own story about where they built the interstate and how it shut down the entire row of black businesses on Claiborne Avenue. It's just every city that has black people can tell you the story. There are cities that were literally made to keep black people out. And then when you talk about, like I said, gerrymandering is something you can prove. When you show somebody a map of districts and you see that all the blacks are confined into one district so that there's no possible way that they can get enough representation in any other district, you give them their one representative and you call it a day. Or they'll say things like, well, what about these Democrat-run cities? And again, I will tell you this, it's not about a political party. Black folks have never said it's about a political party. It's American systemic racism, not Republican racism, not Democrat racism, because you can be a participant in it whether you are active or not. That's the whole point of the system, is that you are born into it, indoctrinated into it, so that you can't see it, so that you live in it and you accept it as your reality. And when the other people in this country, whether they be us, natives, whether it's been women, whether it's been, if you talk about institutions like the Catholic Church, and children spoke up and said, there is institutional work here to cover up things, we are willing to accept that as an institutional cover up, but we can't accept that a country was built with all the evidence that we have. Like you said, you're a math person, we can throw statistic, data, up until it reaches the moon to prove all of these things. And the only reason you don't want to believe it is because it makes you uncomfortable. Because what would be the problem if you found out it was real and it was something that you could fix? Why would that be a bad thing? So what would be the reason in denying it? Why does it make it okay to deny it? Because you don't really believe, again, that we're Americans. At the end of it, it's the general belief that we are not Americans, that have not paid our dues, and that we should get in line. And that's why Asian Americans fight against, and I use this as a comparison, Asian Americans fight against the docile Asian stereotype, because they are always held up as, see, they shut up, they don't bother nobody, but they're still not accepted by the mainstream. They're not integrated into the mainstream of our culture. It's easier to accept them because they are silent, because of they've accepted that part of American culture by and large. We'll be over here because this culture is not built for us, so we'll create our space. And that's what they really want for us, is just to retreat into that space, stay over there and accept the condition, and then they can stop worrying about it.
So David, again, and we're talking, it's a sports talk show, but we're incorporating the question about, is there or is there not systematic racism in our society today? So let's say someone is not ill intent, but maybe they're misinformed. They look at the diversity of their neighborhoods that they live in. They go to their church. They see some diversity there. Maybe they've got interracial marriages in their family, and that's their view on life. And then they see what happened with George Floyd. And then they see what's happening with the athletes kneeling and wearing social justice slogans and all they hear. I'm trying to avoid using Black Lives Matter, because those three words have been like kryptonite to some people. Those three words have been like spraying poison on folks. It's just, those three words have literally just caused people jaundice to the point where they can't even hear reason after hearing those three words. So let me pull that out. You hear and see movements that are trying to unite to bring about meaningful change, but in this person's view, they don't see anything that needs to be changed. It's almost like, well, hey, you just haven't tried hard enough, or hey, you're not going to get it your way all the time. And oh yeah, by the way, all of these people are important and are trying hard as well. Why do you feel like you're being oppressed in the freest country in the world?
But it's not that. We know it's not the freest country in the world. And so if you are coming to me from that perspective, if you are asking me to prove to you something that you don't believe in, I don't have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a chance of doing that. If you're coming to me and saying, prove to me that racism exists, I can't win that argument.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. There's no amount of evidence that I can give you, because you're coming at it as if I'm asking you to tell me that Santa Claus is real. And
you bring up,
can't convince me that Santa Claus is real. I know, I'm grown. They're submitted in that position.
Yeah, if your whole truth is based on your view and your experience, and you're not willing to accept anything outside of that, you're right. There's no changing that person's mind. But just because another person doesn't believe it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, right?
Exactly. And that's how, from our end as men, that's how I had to approach learning more about what women go through, is to just shut up and listen, and just say, when a woman says, this is what it's like for me in the workplace, okay, what can I do to help?
Mm-hmm.
What can I do? That's the only response. And when black people say, hey, we don't want to die at the hands of police. Hey, we like that fair representation in government. Okay, what can we do to help? But that's never the response. The response is everything's cool. And so if that's where you operate from, and no business should even operate that way, right? If you're running a business, you are constantly doing SWOTs, right? Doing SWOT analysis,
right?
Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and So if you're doing all of those things constantly, then why are we not doing this about this country? Why would you think that people who died a long time ago were the end all and be all of political thought? That their system couldn't be improved at all? That we don't learn and change and grow and figure these things out, and that we don't see that these systems are put in place to do certain things? It's because the people who benefited from it see no reason to stop benefiting from it. Yeah. How is it racism if this is how it's always been? You know what I'm saying? How is it racism? This is just how it's always worked. We've always put them, they've always gone to jail because that's what they deserve. They committed the crimes. And we're not ruining this guy's life, this young man's life, because he's not going to be a criminal. But look where they come from, the place that you put us in, where you made sure we didn't have the right food, you made sure we didn't have the right education, you make sure of those things. So if you're saying all those things are unbalanced, if you know all those things are unbalanced, and the conversation is based on me proving to you why they need to be put back into balance, or the worst ones are the ones who make it strictly and say this is just an economic question. It's about economic and it's about class. And if we fix that, then everything will be cool. But we know, again, I can show you the data that it doesn't matter how much money a black person makes. The challenges are still there for them to create and retain wealth and to get out of the neighborhoods that they would like to get out of and get into the ones that they want to get into. There's no movement. There's no social strata that we can climb through. For us, it just doesn't happen. And like Chris Rock said, I was the biggest comedian in the world, and my next door neighbor was an average dentist. You know what I'm saying? Mary J. Blige, Eddie Murphy, and I lived in the same neighborhood, and surrounding me was mediocre, by that standard, white folks. Mm-hmm. We have to be exceptional to get even. We have to be exceptional to get even, not to be exceptional. And that part, just if you don't see those things, and like Valencia said, if you only point out one, or the only fields that you look at and say success are athletics and music and entertainment, and even there we get robbed. Right. So if that's all you can point to, then you have no sense of what's really going on, and you don't really want to know.
Yeah, no, I'm sitting here kind of, I'm really trying to take an unbiased approach to this discussion, but it's kind of hard to do because it just feels like it should be so evident. So, one of the places that people go back to is slavery. I've been in interesting debates with folks about the 1619 Project and how there have been opinion pieces that say it's inaccurate. So therefore,
toss it all.
Yeah, Congressman Cotton is right in wanting there to be legislation that stops it from being taught in schools in Arkansas. But have there not been error teachings about slavery from the beginning of time because people wanted to make it more palatable? They wanted to make it seem like this great nation was not founded off of taking other people from another country, their home, against their will, bringing them here and buying and selling and trading them for their benefit. And then you get the argument, well, it was your own people that sold you into slavery. Let me just throw this out real quick. What if someone took your child and sold your child to another person?
Which does happen in this country still.
And they bought that child. And their argument is, well, it was somebody in your own family that sold me your child. Does that negate the wrongdoing that has been done? Are you now no longer able to bring any legal recourse against the people involved in taking your child and selling your child against your and their will? My point is, there are even laws on the books for receiving stolen property, but you're willing to accept that this country was built on stealing people from another country, even if they were helped by somebody in that country, and we're supposed to just get over that? That is a foundational argument to stand on. Let's not even get into the indigenous people and why they're on reservations as opposed to the land that they owned before you got here. But instead of, listen, we don't want apologies. We don't want statues and monuments. Reparations would be significant, but we've lived this long without them. At this point, how about we just make it right? And there's some folks that can't seem to get the right mentality around the wrong to see that it needs to be made right.
Well, I mean, what are people who justify? I think you're in the echo.
Let's see. Go ahead and try. Okay. I got it now.
So people who tend to justify wrongdoings by pointing out the wrongdoings of others, what is that? That's deflection. So, and it's just like when people say, well, there were abolitionists who were white. That there were white people who fought, for the freedom of slaves. Okay. Again, you want credit for doing the right thing. That's what you want. You want credit for doing the right thing. But you still built a country where slavery was legal. And then, and then they do the dichotomy of North versus South. The North benefited just as much as the South. The North benefited because that cheap labor from the South helped them. Now that stuff has to go to the textile mills in the North. The stuff that they got for cheap in the South, they paid a cheaper cost for it in the North to process it. So all those things benefited the entire country. The economic structure of the country is built on slavery. That's just fact. And so to try to make it whenever you're splitting hairs, it's because you don't want to get to the heart of the argument. Hair splitting is something that you do because you are not talking about the fact of the matter. You want to stay on the fringe. That's a fringe thing. It has nothing to do. If somebody is selling you a stolen chair, a sofa or a TV, you can't say, well, they lived in that house and they sold it to me. It was stolen, but it's mine now. I bought it, and that's okay. They're the real criminal. You don't say that about drug dealers. You don't say that about any other type of crime.
Stolen cars, stolen watches, stolen cell phones.
Or by saying other countries had slavery. Well, a lot of them didn't too. So why couldn't you follow that example of the ones that didn't rather than the ones that do? So you cannot justify it. You can't make it right. And then they will still, no matter what, try to make the people, oh, well, he sold his slaves eventually. Oh, he wasn't that mean to his slaves. Let me buy you.
Right.
And let's see how much you like it, depending on how I treat you. Even if I treat you pretty good, I own you. Let's see how that goes over. And then, again, when they talk about slavery, they forget the after impacts, the economic part. You let people go and you say, you're free now, but we have not trained you. We have not educated you. We have not made you financially viable. We created a system in sharecropping that keeps you from getting wealthy. We created a system where you can't get any bank loans. You can't get jobs in certain fields. So tell me again that this persisted well into the middle of the 20th century. When we knew blacks, the middle class was maybe 5 jobs: nurse, teacher, the occasional black physician in the neighborhood. They weren't maybe a black attorney in your neighborhood, the one you could get. So this is into the mid 20th century, and your options are still limited outside of working in an auto plant or a steel mill to get yourself in the middle class. Yeah. But those options, all the things, GI Bill, all those things that took care of white folks to create wealth for them that we were never given access to, those economic repercussions go for generations. And that's part of the structure. And that's why the wealth gap remains what it is. That's why the health gap remains what it is. So I mean, for anybody to say that it doesn't exist, it's because, again, you just don't want to see it.
Yeah. Yeah, the most recent numbers show that the average black family makes a third of the amount of money made by a white family with the same type of employment. Makes a third of their salary. That's again, I'm back on these coin toss. That is not happenstance.
It's not possible.
That's not. It does not fit natural norms. It doesn't. So let's get to you got us out of slavery. The 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment is really where A, most people don't know about it, and B, it kills all the argument about the lack of existence of systematic racism.
It's legalized slavery.
It is literally a constitutional amendment written about slavery and how you can't have slaves as this, but you can literally make them work as slaves if they do that. That's not written for Asian Americans. That's not written for Caucasian Americans. That's not written for any other group but black people.
You created the prison industrial complex off of that. And then you talk about where are the black men? Well, you put them in prison for everything. For everything. And people talk about, oh, well, they're criminal. They were putting them in. You took $1, you go into prison, not jail, prison. You know what I'm saying? And prison terms that were unconscionably longer than what they would be for white folks. That still goes on today for in sentencing. So, when they talk about those things, you have like you said, they are permitted to use them as slaves, and we still see this where you have prisoners working in call centers, prisoners doing repair work, prisoners doing all kinds of stuff and getting paid cents each hour, and they are quite literally helping multi-billion-dollar companies do things, and they are being used as free labor. They're used as demolition crews. They use all kinds of things, putting themselves in jeopardy again. That has nothing to do with rehabilitation, and it has nothing to do with punishment for crime. None of those things. Those are services that the state is supposed to provide, not through prison labor. And that's what they're using it for. So the incentive is always to keep them there because sheriffs get to use that cheap labor and make money.
Absolutely. So you've got at least a constitutional amendment written to keep people in servitude or enslaved. And then you've got a prison system that was literally built on the ages of certain people in certain communities, because guess what? Like the young man said, it should never be a case that by a zip code, you can tell where a person is going to end up. So much so that prisons were built based on certain zip codes.
They know.
So now you got folks that are going to jail for crack cocaine longer than powdered cocaine. Yep. You got folks going to jail for drugs, but then you got bailouts for opioid addictions.
You create 3 strikes, you're out, which guarantees you're going to keep the prison system full. You open for-profit prisons, which means that their incentive is to stay full and to create circumstances where, nope, he can't get out. He violated these rules. He's got to stay longer. You create those situations where that's what people are looking to do. We have an entire system, a prison system that has no desire to create rehabilitation. Nowhere else in the world is the prison system constructed like ours, which is built purely on punishment and to make sure that people are destroyed as individuals so that when they come out, they are either permanently institutionalized so that they have to go back to prison to live, or that they are completely unacceptable to society because they cannot vote, they can't get a job of any value to society, they can only take what they can get. And the moment that they miss, the moment that an employer says, I can't have a felon working for me, they get fired, they violated parole, you go back to jail. Or you see these things where there was a girl in Detroit, I think Michigan, what was it? And she missed a couple of days of online school, and she had emotional problems and wasn't getting special education services, obviously, because she was at home, and they came and made it a violation. The judge puts her in jail. A child, a 16-year-old who has learning disabilities and these problems, and you think jail is the best place for this kid? That's how America treats us. They always viewed it the best place for us is locked up, out of class, from elementary school on.
Yeah.
Who are the kids who get kicked out of class more often?
Yeah.
Black kids. Yeah. It's the numbers are there for the same types of things. Like you said, talking in class will get a black kid suspended. It'll get a white kid a warning.
So then we get to, modern day. We look at the LeBron Jameses, we look at the Michael Jordans, we look at the Serena Williams, we look at the Russell Wilsons and folks like that. And those are now examples where clearly systematic racism could not have existed. These are people that just simply worked hard. They pulled themselves up by their bootstraps. They are as socially welcomed anywhere as anybody else and you can do the same thing. Is that a fair view? Should our entire culture be based on how well and successful we are in sports and acting and, like we've talked about, the one or two political anomalies that we've experienced?
Who else is judged that way? Do we sit here and judge the status of white America on what George Clooney is doing? Do we judge it on how much money Tom Brady is making? Because remember when we went through this last presidential election, they said, look at all these disenfranchised white people. We've forgotten about the white people who are so disenfranchised. So they get to be disenfranchised. But we have to look at our entertainers, who have always been the exception to the rule for America. America's always had it okay with black folks who entertain making a lot of money. They ain't never really had a problem as long as they're on the entertaining side. The ownership side, bit different. But as long as you are doing the entertaining, they're cool with that, and you having enough money. Because again, like you said, you get to be the mascot for lack of racism. Damon Wayans joked about this a long time ago, The Last Stand. He said the first thing they do when somebody brings up racism is go find the wealthiest black person they can find and say, you've made all this money. Is there racism in America? And that person knows that they're going to sit there for the most part and say, oh, no, I made it because I worked hard and I did all these things. Because people are about protecting their position. They don't want to lose it. And you know who to go to say those things. But now you go ask Russell Wilson and ask him what he thinks about this. He'll tell you it's real. You go ask Serena Williams. She'll tell you it's real. Because remember, she pulled out of Indian Wells a long time ago over that. So there are plenty of folks who will tell you it's real, who have this money, who have to fight the perception of being more than, being one of the good ones, again, that's respectability politics. That if you are good enough and nice enough and palatable enough to white people, that they will tolerate you, not accept you, because they don't accept Michael Jordan in the club. They use him as what? A curiosity. It's Michael Jordan. I'm standing next to Michael Jordan. Mm-hmm. Michael Jordan is not one of them, and they know it, and he knows it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I hate to do it. I got to take a quick break. We'll come back with one more segment after this. We're talking about systematic racism in America and, of course, in the world of sports. David Grubb, we appreciate you today, man. You dropping knowledge. We'll be right back right after this on the lunch break.
Has someone in your family lost a job recently, and now you can't afford your mortgage payment? Or do you have a rental property and your tenants aren't paying you? Quick Cash Offer can come to the rescue and pay you cash for your home immediately. Yes, sell your home and get cash all over the phone without dealing with real estate agents and risking your safety by showing your home to lukewarm buyers. You don't need to lose your home to foreclosure. If you have any equity in your home, we will buy it and give you cash within days, all in a simple over-the-phone and virtual process. Call Quick Cash Offer now before the economy gets worse. Sell a home you can't afford or just don't want to get the cash you need today.
800-780-1431. 800-780-1431. 800-780-1431. That's 800-780-1431.
This is a potter's field. When people can't pay for their funerals, they are buried here. It is a lonely, desolate place, littered with unmarked headstones. No one visits. No one leaves flowers. But it doesn't have to be that way. For as low as $1 a day, you can ensure your family will have the money to pay your funeral expenses. We offer burial insurance plans that pay up to $30,000. Considering the average funeral costs more than $10,000, that's peace of mind for your family. There are no medical exams, your rates won't increase, and your policy cannot be canceled as long as you make your premium payments. Call now to get approved in minutes and ensure your final resting place is more than just a pauper's grave in a potter's field.
800-308-6729. 800-308-6729. 800-308-6729. That's 800-308-6729. Paid for by Final Expense Direct.
I am a non-attorney spokesperson representing a team of lawyers who help people that have been injured or wronged. If you've been involved in a serious car, truck, or motorcycle accident or injured at work, you have rights, and you may be entitled to money for your suffering. Don't accept an offer you get from an insurance company until you talk to a lawyer. And we represent some of the best personal injury lawyers you can find. Tough lawyers that will fight to win your case. And they're so good they stake their reputation on it by only getting paid if you win. So if you've been in a serious car, truck, or motorcycle accident or hurt on the job, find out today for free what kind of compensation you may be entitled to. Call the legal helpline right now.
800-547-4170. 800-547-4170. 800-547-4170. That's 800-547-4170.
Hey, what's going on? This is Lecrae, and right now you're listening to The Lunch Break.
All right, y'all, we're back here on The Lunch Break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I'm AJ Jones. It is our Media Monday, and Frederica Whitfield did a very good piece on unbiased racism in America. And you know, I don't feel like she watered that title down. There are folks that, you know, they like you said, they don't want to be offended. Like, you know, don't tell me I got privilege, and don't tell me that I don't do this. Okay, so maybe it's unbiased. Maybe it's unbiased, but there's racism. And she literally covered every area. She covered the medical area. She covered the financial. She covered residential. She covered sports. And it was a phenomenal piece. You know, and I know there's some people that don't want to hear about it because it's on CNN. If you keep rejecting every outlet for any kind of information, guess what? You'll find yourself not getting good information from anywhere.
But
So
you can get this, but all the things that she cites, all those things are available to people. So if you don't want to go to CNN, go find the actual research. It's there. And the whole thing is where do you get it from? If you're only going to places that are not scientific, if you're going to places that are editorial sites, things that do commentary, that's not where you go. You go to the actual scientists, and you can get competing. You're supposed to get competing information. You're supposed to do that to draw conclusions. But if you're getting opinion-based information rather than fact-based information, then you can't do that. And most people don't want fact-based information. They want confirmation.
Yeah. And I'm sorry. You know, one of the things, anybody that I have white that's listening to the show right now that really even cares, wants to care. Let me just say this. Please do not bring up other black people like Candace Owens, like Larry Elder, like, other folks that you think some kind of way speak for everyone black. I even know that my opinion doesn't represent everyone black. I never once said I was going to try to save everybody black by fighting against systematic racism, police brutality, social and economic injustices against black people. I'm fighting for my children. I'm fighting for my grandchildren. I'm fighting for David's children. I'm fighting for other people who want to be fought for. If you good, baby, please be good. But don't try to stop us from fighting for things that affect us, our children, our grandchildren, our communities, and people that just want an even playing field. Not trying to be better than you, just trying to be even. We want the same justices that you deserve, you get. We want the same chance in life that you have. And I don't want to hear about bootstraps when you're talking to some people who don't even have shoes. And I mean that sincerely. So please stop. Just hear my heart. If you don't understand, maybe either learn or sit it out. But don't try and bring, well, Candace Owens said this. Well, Larry Elder said that. Well, Ben Carson said this. I'm sorry. That's not the opinion that we're coming from right now. That's not the experience that we've had. And if Candace would tell the truth, she would have a different song too, but she don't want to mess up her money.
You always got to be careful about people who profit from their opinions of being contrary.
She don't want to mess up her money. And I ain't mad.
Anybody who's benefiting directly from those things is just, again, the people who are the most honest are the ones who have the most to lose. You know what I mean? That's always the case. If you got the most to lose and you're out there telling something that's controversial or things that'll get you potentially in trouble, then I tend to trust that person rather than somebody who says that they're being controversial to be accepted by a large majority of the population.
Yeah.
That's not controversy. If you're there. And when 80% of black people feel something and this other small group says that they don't, that doesn't mean that 20% is right.
Right.
You know what I mean? That doesn't make them right. What it means is that their view or their experience is different and they're entitled to that opinion.
Yeah.
But like you say, you fight it. We always talk about the majority. Well, the majority of us feel this way. The majority of us see these things. And the majority of us, whether or not we experience it at the harshest level or the softest, we still know. And that's the whole thing, is that if you're looking again, if you are looking for the people who are telling you it's not so, and those are the people you're the most likely to believe, that says something about you and the way you pursue facts.
Right.
The first thing you're looking for are the people who agree with you, not the information. You're not trying to solve the mystery. What you're trying to do is get to the point where you can let it go.
Right. David, trying to get this. The fact that folks use platforms like the NFL, like Major League Baseball, like basketball and other sports, doesn't mean that they hate white people, doesn't mean that they should shut up and dribble, shut up and do other things. Some people understand that they have a bigger microphone or a bigger reach by where they are and can leverage that to reach more people. Am I right, or have I minimized it just a little bit too much?
That's your job as a human being, is to speak out when you have the opportunity. And whenever somebody gives you that opportunity and you see something, it's just like with Tobias Harris the other day, or a couple other NBA players, when they asked him a question, said, my only answer is get justice for Breonna Taylor. No matter what question you ask me, the answer is get justice for Breonna Taylor. Well, if when people are doing those things and they're trying to continuously tell you, the nature of all this, why shouldn't they be using their platform for that? Because I'd rather them use their platform for something that is meant to be positive. And the thing when people talk about, well, why do you hate? Remember, what was it? The hate that hate begot? Or the hate that, what was that? The Dan Rather did that with the black Muslims in the 1960s.
Yeah.
The hate that hate created, or whatever it was called. And it wasn't a recreation of hate. And I think that's a big part of it too, is that white folks are really worried that if black folk got equality, that we would do things to them that they have done to us. And that is a big part of it. There is a fear that if we had the opportunity, that we would do those things. And why would you fear that unless you know that they're true? You know what I'm saying? Why would you have that fear unless you know that you did those things, that those things happened in this country? Why would you fear the repercussions of actions that you think, that you said are not that bad, that slavery and all these things, we got past that, Well, then why are you so afraid of retribution? What do you think would come then? And do you really think that we have that capacity? Do you really think that we could do any of that? None of us has ever said that. None of us have ever said that. And no black person of conscience has ever said, let's go out and slaughter white people, or let's do the things to them they've done to us. All we've ever said is equal opportunity is what we want, even though we understand that means it does not necessarily mean equal outcomes.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. Speaking up doesn't mean that somebody's trying to start a race war. Speaking up does not mean that somebody's trying to take something from you. I mean, I'm to the point where, I've saw a meme or a post or something where it says, I'm not going to apologize for being white. I'm not going to apologize if I have white privilege. I'm not going to apologize for standing for the national anthem, for not wanting to, get an abortion, for not being, for being conservative. Nobody wants your apologies. No one's asking for your apologies.
Nope.
That's where people get it wrong. Nobody's asking you to not be you. What we're trying to do is make sure that folks stop being racist, stop, with police brutality, stop killing us. And I don't need you throwing in my face, well, what about, you killing each other? We're not talking about that right now. We're not talking.
And it doesn't matter. That has nothing to do with the conversation at all. Because again, who kill people? Majority of the people they kill are people they know. Most murders are committed by people you know and the people you live near. Most murders are not crimes of happenstance. And certainly we know, again, the majority of white people who are killed by white people. That's just, the majority of black people are going to be killed by black people. And why do those circumstances exist? Again, nobody ever asks why. Why is always the most important question, because you can't do anything else until you address why. And why is such a huge part of why you see so much violence in black communities. Again, that stuff isn't accidental either.
Yeah.
And it's not a conspiracy. That's the whole thing, is it's people think you've been a conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy. Right. It's the way things are set up. It's a cycle. And the reason it works, machines don't need you to sit there and crank it. Once you started, the machine is supposed to work.
Yeah. Two things I want to leave us with. When you consider the pain that you caused the person, their fault, that's not them being a victim. That's you being evil. So maybe you didn't directly cause the pain in the black community, but denying that pain exists, it's evil. And then last and certainly not least, listen, I don't need anybody's approval to fight this fight. In fact, what would be more wrong is if I stopped fighting it because I didn't have somebody else's approval. So, David, closing remarks, tell everybody where they can find you, follow you, and all the above.
I guess the last thing I would say on this is just, I'm not going to apologize, and you're not going to apologize, and I'm going to keep moving forward. And if people are on board, that's fantastic. And if you're not, we're going to keep it moving with or without you. Yeah. But then ultimately, if you are on board, I'm glad to have anybody and who's moving it forward. But you can follow me at DM Grubb, and you can check the show on Apple or Spotify, wherever else you get your podcast. And of course, please check out my website, hitpwithdg.com. I'm gonna keep trying to do my best and have fun, but also be relevant and give you something that you don't get anywhere else.
I know that's right, man. I appreciate you, brother, because it is good to have somebody where we can just dialogue. Kelsey apologized to me because she felt like she got me into some Twitter battles when she asked that question about the baseball player that stood. I'm a Christian. I don't kneel to nobody but Jesus. We better not see pictures of you kneeling in front of your girlfriend, fiance, asking her to marry you, because I'm going to blow you up. But no, I felt like I had some meaningful discussions when we all got down to the bottom of it. So, man, I don't mind having these discussions, and I appreciate you opening up a forum for us to do the same.
Oh, anytime.
All right, y'all, that's David Grubb, Hard in the Paint. We're going to be back with him on Wednesday. Y'all be sure and follow his show. I'm going to post up the links to it, so y'all make sure y'all check our brother out. Let me get out of the way. As always, we got our girl, not Sybil Wilkes, we got Donnie McClurkin with the Donnie McClurkin Show up next. He'll give you the best in gospel music, latest in the gospel music industry. As always, Donnie does his thing from Monday through Friday from 2 to 3. In the morning, you got Erica Campbell and Griff. After that, you've got Dr. Sylvia Cole. And be sure to check her out, after which I'll be in with Team Texas Tuesday. Got a surprise for you tomorrow. I'm not going to tell you who's coming on, but I got a surprise for you. You're going to be glad to see them. All right, as always, let's not be divided. Let's be united. I love you. There's nothing you can do about it except wear your mask, wash your hands for 30 seconds or more, sanitize everything around you, and be sensitive to everybody around you. Give them 6 feet. And when you see that racism, I don't care whether it's systematic, I don't care whether it's whatever. When you see that racism, kill it. Not the person, the racism. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Be blessed. All right, y'all. Sorry I dropped off screen there for a second. Our computer froze up, so I had to hard reboot and reset it. But David Grubb is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Y'all do me a favor, follow his show, Hard in the Paint with DavidGrubb.com, I believe is the website. Again, HITP with DavidGrubb.com, I believe is the website. If not, I got it posted up in the link for the show. But listen, Good brother. Good brother. Give him all the love that you give me, because he is definitely a good brother. And do me a favor, be open-minded, man. Please be open-minded. Don't just go off on people. Don't just go left on them. Try to reach them. If you can't reach them, move on. Move on. But it doesn't have to be adversarial. And let's make a change, man. Let's get this thing together, all right? As always, let's not do this. Let's do this. I love you. Y'all be safe, okay? All right.